Hey there friends, welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's Cassie. Today we're using the Brutus Monroe February 2021 Splish Splash Inspiration Box. And as far as I know, this one is still available, so I'll have it linked down below along with all of the other products I used. I went ahead for time's sake and went ahead and stamped out a bunch of images and colored those up with my alcohol markers. I used my Raven Detail ink along with some alcohol marker cardstock. And then I'm going to go ahead and fussy cut out each of the images that I need. And all these ones that you see here are for our first card. We're going to make a springy Easter card. And so I'm going to use one of the pre-cut bases that Brutus Monroe carries along with the pre-cut panels. And then I'm also going to use some of that glitter stock that came in the kit. And I'll have the kit, the unboxing linked down below if you haven't seen what comes in this kit. So I went ahead and scored that base at 3.5 inches. So when it's closed, it's 3.5 inches by 8.5 inches. I'm going to cut down this glitter stock to 3.5 inches because I want to make some grass. And to do that, I'm going to freehand it. So I'm just going to take my scissors and kind of do a bunch of hills. There is no rhyme or reason to how I'm doing this. I'm just cutting them, and I'm going to attempt to layer those behind each other. Doing that right now, you can't really tell the difference, but I'm going to fix that here in a bit. And I'm thinking about that. That's why it took me a second. So then I'll cut a couple more. So we'll have a total of 4 hills on there, and then I'll save that last one for the inside of my card. So it's here I'm thinking I need some depth. I'm going to bring in that Raven Detail ink, and I'm going to sponge some of that onto my grass. Now normally that's not like a great ink to blend with, but it works perfect on the glitter stock. It just goes so well. So if you need to do any sort of blending, kind of darken something like glitter stock up, the Raven Detail ink works really well. All right, so I'm doing that for all of them, and you'll notice that it kind of gives a little bit of depth to those hills now. So now they kind of look like they're to the back and front. I'm going to take some Clear Skies Simon Hurley Create ink, and I'm going to blend a sky on there. It's not going to be a perfect sky. I want it to look like there's maybe some patchy clouds up there, so it looks a little patchy, and I'm not even going to go all the way to the top. We just wanted a little bit of blending there. And now I'm going to glue down my grass. So I'm going to use some liquid glue, and you'll notice I'm not going to go all the way to the top, and that's because I do want to tuck those pieces behind each other. So I'm leaving about a 1/2 inch at the top of each one. If I need to add glue later, I can, but this way it allows me to tuck pieces behind there. Not only the grass, but then I can tuck some of the pieces that I've colored and cut out. And so I'm just layering those behind each other, and I just love how this is coming together. This is a super simple, easy scene to make, and I love it. So we'll put our last piece up there, and then we're going to grab that liquid glue and we'll adhere down our bunny ears to our duck. I love that this stamp set has all those little options to add to the duck. It's too fun. Oh my goodness. All right, so there I'm going to go ahead and add the Easter basket to that first hill, tuck it behind there, and then I'll tuck our little duck bunny behind the basket, so he's sticking out of there, and then I'm going to take 3 of those eggs and adhere those to the front as well. Another good option would be to maybe use some foam tape if you really wanted some depth in here, a little more dimension, but I would say that tape runner probably isn't going to work too well on the glitter stock. You're going to need a strong adhesive. And now that I've got all those pieces on there, I'm going to take one of the sentiments from the stamp set that says Hoppy Spring, and I'll stamp that down using the Raven Detail ink. And then I'm going to glue down our piece of grass to the inside of our card base along with those last 2 eggs. So we have a little something on the inside here. You could even go a little further and stamp the duck or do some other things with it, but I love how that looks. And then we'll glue down our panel to our card base. And you could go even further and add a few other embellishments, but I decided to stop there because that glitter cardstock is just awesome. All right, so that's going to finish off card number 1. For card number 2, we're going to use one of the foilables, and I'm going to take the stencil that came in the kit. This could be used for a lot of different things. Bricks, somebody had mentioned using it for like subway tile in a background, so I'm going to use that on this background. And I'm just going to use a blender brush along with some Woof ink by Simon Hurley Create. And I'm just not going for a perfect blend, just blending that on that background so that there's something more going on. I love doing that with the foilables, kind of altering them a little bit. And then you'll notice I have off to the side some of the Brutus Monroe Deco foil. This is the purple sketch. This one is definitely one of my favorites. It's been out for a little while and I just love this stuff. So I have a couple pieces. I'm going to kind of overlap those and I'm pulling in my MINC. So this has been a game changer for me. You've heard me mention it before. If you've seen me do anything with the MINC lately, this has been a game changer for foiling. And you know, I'm not like perfect at it. There's a lot of other folks out there that are even better, but the MINC makes it like dummy proof personally, I think. So I have this between a couple pieces of copy paper. I've lined it up on top of there. It really doesn't matter if you do it face up or face down. I just put it between copy paper so that way, just in case that foil hits anything, it's not going to stick to my sheet that goes through the MINC. And then I'm going to peel that away, and Miles is quite interested. I would suggest, but like I said, I'm not a pro, I would suggest that you sweep those with like a Nuvo sweep brush beforehand, so that way you don't have any dust particles that would get in the way of the foiling, but I didn't have any issues. I'm going to trim this piece down just a little bit because I do want to layer it on top of some of the purple cardstock that came in the kit. That purple cardstock and that lavender cardstock are some really good layering cardstocks because they're not super heavy duty. So I'm just going to put this right on top using some liquid glue, and there'll be a nice small border around the sides and the bottom. And the reason I'm not concerned about the top is because I am going to put this on a little bit wonky on that lavender piece. So it's not going to be perfect. And then I'll let that dry a little bit. And now Max has joined us. So I want to do a little bit of embossing on those bubbles. You'll notice that I didn't cut all the little bubbles out. I just took the top part, and boy, Max is just relentless. He really wants those bubbles. And now I'm just looking at the sentiments to try to decide which sentiments I would like to use. These sentiments are foilable. I think they're fantastic for so many reasons because it gives you lots of sentiment options, but also because they are foilable. I'm not going to foil these ones, but I will foil some other ones here in the future. And Max is going to, well, he thinks he's being helpful. I'm going to cover my bubbles completely with some embossing ink and then cover that with that embossing powder that came in the kit. And basically it's a clear embossing powder with these like beautiful blue glittery sparkles in it. So it's very, very subtle, but it does add a shine and it adds very little bits of blue sparkle to it. So check that out. Looks like bubbles. Perfect. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and glue that down to the tub. And then we'll set that off to the side. We'll start thinking about how we're going to adhere things. I did use my circle foundations die to cut out a circle of some more of that layering cardstock. And now I'm going to put in my guillotine trimmer this panel so I can trim off the excess. And then we'll attach down our circle. Boy, Max is just, he wants those sentiments pretty badly. And then I'm going to kind of think about how I want those put on there, and I'll just glue those down. Now he wants the bathtub. He is so helpful. This must be what it's like to try and craft with kids on your lap. Anyway, so then I'm going to put some foam tape on the back of my bathtub, and then I'll peel off all that release paper, and I'm going to stick that down in between those sentiments. So one of them says Splish, Splash, and then the other ones are all like totally pertaining to taking a relaxing time, maybe in the bath or something. So take time to unwind. And then the other one says relax, rest and relax. I'm going to stamp the bathtub on the inside of our card base using some Crown Me, and then stamp the bubbles on top of that using some Woof, and then I'll adhere down my sentiment over the top of that. That card base is a 4 1/4, this is closed, 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch card base. And then as a final bit of embellishment, I'm going to grab some of the sequins that came in the kit, and I'll put those down just using my crystal katana and some more liquid glue. And then when that's done, that's going to finish off card number 2. Max agrees. It's a great card. Moving on to card number 3, we are going to make a mini slimline, but I'm going to take another one of those foilable panels because I honestly loved every one of those foilable panels, and I am going to just blend on some Clear Sky Simon Hurley Create ink. I'm using a Ergonomic brush by Pink and Main, and just blending that all over. Kind of want it to be a little bit light because I am going to foil this. I thought with those bubbles, we just had to bring in the Blue Waves Deco Foil by Brutus Monroe. And so I'm going to cut down some of that using the Spellbinder's Quick Trimmer. This thing's awesome. So I'm just going to line that up in there. It makes it real easy to have nice precise cuts. And because I've often found that you just can't do that with a paper trimmer and foil. So this works really well. I like to keep my foil, you know, as straight as possible rather than just willy-nilly cutting it. So this definitely helps. All right, now I'm just going to put this into my MINC machine again, like we did before, with 3 sentiments that I've picked out. And these ones are the black sentiments, so I'm going to go ahead and foil those. We'll run that through the machine, and then we'll peel that away and reveal some gorgeous foiling. Again, just totally effortless. And then there's our sentiments off to the side. Now, I did say I wanted this to be a mini slimline, so I'm going to trim that down to 3 inches. The panel originally was the whole front of an A2 size card, which is 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches. So I trimmed it down on the short end 3 inches. And so there'll be a little bit of a border on the left and right hand side. I did trim down some yellow cardstock to be 3 inches by 6 inches, so it's the full panel. And then I also trimmed down just some blue cardstock that I had in my stash, just little scraps of it because I really wanted to bring in a little bit more of that blue. And then I'm just putting some glue on the edges, and then I'll stick that down so just a little bit of that blue is poking through. I'll trim off the excess with some scissors. And then when we're done with that, we'll go ahead and adhere that down to that yellow panel. That yellow cardstock came in the kit. It's some of that layering cardstock. And it's fun because then it brings in the rubber ducky feel. I did cut and color one of the ducks and then some cool shades. I just think that's so much fun. And then the sentiments that I picked out are for birthday. We have Your One Cool Duck and Quacky Birthday to You. And I'll adhere those down using some more of that liquid glue. And once I get those down, I'm going to use some foam tape behind our duck so that we can pop him up. And then I do decide I want to put one of the sentiments on the inside. And you'll notice that I also have a leftover panel there on the side of that foilable that I used. And rather than let that go to waste, I thought it would be fun to trim that in half, and then we'll go ahead and adhere that to the inside of our card. So mini slimline are just fun to make. They end up being a 6-inch piece of cardstock that you score at 3 inches. So closed, it's 3 inches by 6 inches. So then I'll just put those little pieces inside. Plenty of room to write to the recipient, but the outside and the inside are all decorated, all cute. I do want to bring in some more of those sequins, so I just chose some of the yellow ones out to bring in a little bit more of that yellow. And then I'll put those down using that same liquid glue along with my crystal katana. And then when I'm done with that, that's going to finish off card number 3. A fun little mini slimline that has a lot of shine to it. Card number 4 is going to be super simple because I took one of the foilables and I went ahead and already colored that using my Copic markers. I left a lot of white space with that one, and I just love how that turned out. I love it when there's panels in there that I can color like this. I did take one of the sentiments from the sentiment strips that came in the kit, and I'm going to color it so that it'll match that background just a little bit, match the tub, just bringing in those same colors, and then that adds a little bit more cohesion. And then I'll kind of see where I want to put that at the top. I'm going to grab out one of the sentiments from the stamp set, and then I'm going to ink that up with some Raven Detail ink. This one says Rub-a-Dub-Dub, and then I thought Just Keep Swimming. That just seemed like such a great card to send, you know, if you know somebody's having a hard time right now, and with the pandemic still continuing on, I can see where this might be a very handy card to have on hand. So I'll adhere down my sentiment, and then I'm going to adhere the panel down to a card base. It's just another A2 card base. I'm not doing anything to the inside, and then when I'm done adhering it, that's going to finish off card number 4. Super simple and super fun. All right, for card number 5, we are going to jump right in with the Simon Hurley Create stamping foam that came in the kit. And to work this, I've got this on slow-mo, or not slow-mo, but normal. You want to heat this with your heat gun just a little bit, and then you're going to just press it into whatever you want to get the impression of. I'm just pressing it right into the stencil that came into the kit just to make things easy, but you could press all kinds of things into the stamping foam, and then it ends up being a stamping block. So check that out. There's the impression of the stencil right there. I'm going to take some of the Woof ink by Simon Hurley Create and just rub that across my stamping block, and you can see that that ink adhered there. I'll spritz it with a little bit of water to activate that ink, and then stamp that right down onto a panel. And this wasn't watercolor paper, so do be aware of that when you are using this stamping foam. But this stuff is so cool. So then I'm going to wipe off the ink, and then I'll reheat that so that way the foam bounces back. And then you can use it over and over and over again. It's so, so cool. And it doesn't get that hot. So yeah, you could use it with all kinds of things. I just think it's so neat. I can't wait to experiment even more with it. All right, I'm going to heat set my paper because I did use a little bit of water on that. And then I'm going to adhere this right down to some of that yellow layering cardstock that came in the kit. And we'll leave a little bit of a yellow border all around. I pulled out one of the sentiments from the sentiment strips. Again, love these. And this one says, "Look at you with all your ducks in a row." I thought this would make a super fun, like, congratulations card. And then I'll adhere down just the last little duck that I have, and then I'll adhere this to a card base, just using some more of that liquid glue. And then when I'm done with that, that's going to finish off all of the cards that I made today. This was such a fun kit, and I love that little duck and all the different ways that you could dress him up. There's so many possibilities. I'm going to go ahead and show you all the cards that I made. And then I would love to know which one was your favorite, if you did, in fact, have a favorite. Go ahead and leave that down in the comment section down below, because I do love reading that. You guys are so awesome with your sweet comments all the time, and I read every one of them, even if I don't get to answering all of them. So if you liked this video, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already done so. And as always, I will see you very soon in another video. Thanks, everybody. Bye.